Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships for our Friday highlight, which is the new Tier 10 Premium Dutch Cruiser. I'm going to try to pronounce the name, how you would pronounce it in Dutch. Let's see, let's give it a go. The Prins Van Oranje. Something like that. Was quite surprised when I looked it up, but it's similar to in Norwegian, like the J's are more like Y sounding and you roll the R. So for purposes of this video, I'm probably just going to call this ship the Prins Van, so I don't get tongue-tied every time we talk about this ship. If you didn't catch my first impressions video, I'll have it here at the end, and then also the upgrading commander build video I'll add in once that goes up live tomorrow. My first impressions is I kind of like the ship, felt good. After more battles I've had in randoms with the ship, I really like it. It's probably my favorite ship to play since Wisconsin, if I'm being fully honest. Now, that's just my opinion. It's going to vary, of course, from player to player based off your preferences and what type of ships you like to play in games. I really like getting to like cruisers more and more and more. And I really like the Prins Van over the Golden Lion for several reasons. The way I've approached this ship is that I've approached it in a way that it is more gun focused than airstrike focused. The big thing for me that I have found amazingly helpful is I use my same commander that I have on my Golden Lion, but in the 4 slot on the upgrades, I don't do, what do they call it? The Airstrike modification 1. I actually go for propulsion, and this has been a huge thing for me. One of the reasons why I didn't go with the Airstrike modification 1 is because it's a lot longer reload time on the Airstrike. Let's see if I can actually see it shown here. With the current build, it's 136 seconds. That's with the commander build. Otherwise, it'd be 160 for 2 strikes that go out 15 kilometers. Besides the reload time being longer than the Golden Lion, the Airstrike is more powerful and better in every way over the airstrikes that you have on the Golden Lion. Now, the way I've approached the Airstrike here with the Prins Van is that I'm using it more in a way of punishing players who position poorly. Maybe they ram an island, they're sitting still. It's because it takes such a long time for these to reload. You don't want to just, so to speak, throw these out like candy. Maybe how you might use the Golden Lion as an example. So I've done a bit more of a gun focused. I focused on the ship with guns, and then the airstrikes I kind of view as a secondary armament that is situational, and I'll get the most out of it depending on what situation I use. Now, right now, I made a mention in the first impressions video, there's a bug right now with the B turret where it has, I don't remember the name of it. It has no, they give it a 0 value in terms of penetration of the caliber that can incapacitate with high explosive the B turret, your second turret. So a destroyer firing HE at you, if it hits the turret, the splash damage or whatever, it will immediately incapacitate the turret. So I've been kind of set up more, I've been playing the ship in a little bit more of a kited stance. Not that I'm running away, so to speak, but I've been playing it more in this kited out so I don't have that front turret exposed as easily as much. But we're getting plans to fix it next update. There's, from what I understand and what I've been told. So, Dutch Tier 10 cruiser that really has a bit more of a focus on the guns. So let's talk about the guns for just a little bit. So the guns are 2 and 34mm guns versus the Golden Lions. I'm spacing it right now. I don't remember what the Golden Lion has now. Let's look, as I just completely wrecked the build I had set up here. Is it 283s? Yeah, 283s, okay. So the Prins Van Oranje has 12 234mm guns, and the reload time between these two is, the way I have it built, is like, I think it's 0.9 second difference. And you're getting more out of the main battery. Now, you have to indulge me here for a moment. This Massachusetts player has rammed the island for a second time. Oh, yes. Yeah, goodbye. So the context for that, as I was talking about the main battery, is I saw how the Massachusetts player was up on the island like that, and then I decided to move more towards the right, or towards the 1, 2, 3 line, to be able to reach him with my 15-kilometer range, or with the golden line, I'd have to get within like 13 kilometers, right? So they're a little bit more situational in how you work to try to punish enemy ships. So this battle is going to be probably my best battle I've had so far. I've had games that I've had more damage with the Prins Van versus this game. But it's going to be a really close battle. As you can see, we're actually losing a lot of ships right now, which sucks. Other things to make note of the ship, because I do want to talk a little bit more about the play style versus just kind of giving you the pros and cons of the ship. The armor piercing has surprised me again and again. I mean, there is an element where I've been getting witherers, I've been getting arsonists with this ship, but don't sleep on the armor piercing, especially if you have broadside cruisers or battleships, and even aircraft carriers, even if they're not fully broadside to you. The AP has been surprising me, which is really good since these are like basically 9.2 inch guns. As this Republic's going to get away, and he's going to be a bit of a hassle for us. So you have that dynamic going. Your repair parties are standard. They're in 80 seconds. There's nothing amazing happening there. I was a bit of like kind of asleep here and not paying attention to Napoli that was rushing up our flank. I should have shot him sooner, but the Colombo has taken him out. I've been a bit focused on trying to get that Republic killed there. And then you have the hydroacoustic search, which we have done the special upgrade to hydroacoustic search mod 1. So I have a longer lasting hydro, which has been really helpful, particularly with subs and a lot of torpedoes in the game. So that gives us I think it's an action time of, let me see here, I think we're around 2 minutes. Yeah, 132 seconds. So we're over 2 minutes action time with that. So I've liked that. We've gone for the full conceal. Full conceal is 10.8. I think Golden Lion is technically a little bit better. But I'll go over more of the build and the specifics of the ship. In addition, we also, of course, get the defensive AA, which we will be using here later on in the game when we are encountering the CV a bit more. Now, in terms of the game, I'm going to kind of focus more on how I play the ship in the terms of the play style. So I talked about how I kind of like sitting in these kited out, so to speak, positions. There is a mistake I'm going to make here. You'll see it here. It's not quite yet, but I'm trying to be able to make this maneuver out with the Veneto spotter plane up, and so the spotter plane goes down, so now I'm able to make the turn out. There's a Bismarck over on the 1 line, and I end up not respecting the Bismarck's guns because, I think they're 15-inch guns, and he's really low. And I'm noting that, yes, I'm showing broadside more towards the Bismarck, but I'm like, it's a Bismarck. The German guns, not super accurate, right? The ship does have a weakness in terms of, when you get something like SAP from the Veneto, Colombo, Loria, even higher, like maybe ships like Hindenburg with a quarter high explosive pin, and there's an AP salvo coming in, and that's going to smack us quite strongly. So I made the mistake of being too relaxed about the Bismarck player, and we're actually gonna get really close to death here, but we're gonna kind of make a comeback. So that's really one of the things that you can't sleep on with this ship. It is tanky to an extent. I've had games I've had up to 2 million potential damage. I think this game we end up with like 1.5 million potential damage. But you don't want to be so lax in just ignoring low HP targets. Like a Bismarck, the guns don't change on a Bismarck regardless of his hit point pull. So I got a little too relaxed there, and we lost a lot of hit points between the Bismarck salvo and the Veneto salvo in a very short amount of time. Meanwhile, we're still losing ships. I'm still in the kited out position because it's not wise for me to push back in. Veneto spots me again. I'll be broadside to Veneto. The Bismarck's still taking shots at us. and then I kind of do a blind shot there, and then of course right after I do the blind shot he gets spotted. Now we're going to try again because we really need to get him punished. I have some games, it's not only this one, I mean, where, there we go, we got the kill now, where the propulsion mod I just feel like has so much more value on the Prins Van, because you're constantly rocking back and forth. I mean, you can kind of hear how much I'm playing with my propulsion. We're going forward, we're backing off, we're going forward, we're backing off, and it's just been really helpful for me to avoid full-on salvos from tier 10, you know, Satsumas, or sorry, super ship super ship Satsuma, Shikshimas. There was a game where I trolled a bungo with the high precision spotter again and again and again. So if you kind of play this ship in a way of where you're kind of kited out and you're accelerating, you're deaccelerating, you can really throw off a lot of enemy battleship fire. And that has been kind of a game, it's been a very good game changer if you're good with that play style of just rocking a ship back and forth, so to speak. I think it's better than having the airstrike modification, even though you could get your airstrike reload time, you know, down beneath that 136 seconds to, what would it be? It would be a 108 second reload time, where I think GoldenEye is still like a lot better, but granted the range, there is a range difference there as well. We get a brief glimpse of the Hoffman, so we're immediately going to take that salvo. Veneto's smoked up, so we don't have to really worry about being spotted, and we are, or sorry, Angela Merkel, Jingles, I don't know how to pronounce the actual name of that tier 8 destroyer. I had a different game with the Hoffman I was having to deal with. But I'm still going to take some blind shots here, because I know the Veneto is roughly in there, but our fire damage is ticking. We pick up our 4th kill, and you see we're at 177,000 damage at this point. But enemy team is in control of the caps. Our North Carolina is dealing with a submarine. Our CV's up in the top corner, and so it's not a phenomenal situation. Here you see our AA working. We have the 4-point AA skill, A defense and ASW expert. So whenever our A is active, our consumable reload time drops by -50%, which is really helpful, especially to get, you know, things like our heal and that back up. And we're needing to push in on Bravo now. We know this submarine is probably somewhere up near the North Carolina. Maybe he's like 7-8 line on the D line as an example. The CV is really helpful. I just ask him, hey, would you be willing to drop fighters out in front of me, because I need to close the distance in on the cap. Enemy team has now overtaken us in points, and the quicker I can get into the cap, the better. Now, one of the concerns I have here is that the Makimov is going to try to come in on my side and drop me with skip bombers. I don't have any more heals, so I really have to be mindful of trying to retain my hit points as much as possible. But the Nakamov ends up deciding not to push us, and instead he goes for the North Carolina, which is great, but we've kind of bled some time off here because we haven't turning in to him, and we're kind of going outside of our AA fighters, if you will. So this is where cruisers, especially at the high tiers, the more you can retain your hit points for the last half of the game is really deciding. It's a big factor here. Your survivability is 51,900, but then with the, without survivability expert, it's 51,900. With survivability expert, it's 56,400. And then also with the Charlie Kylo, it is 59,220 hit points. Sorry, I was just trying to remember how to pronounce the name of that. I think it's called Kylo. So anyhow, that's really helpful here, and it helps us in these tight situations that we're going to get into, because the CV is going to come back again for us. But for now, we were like, let's use the islands. If you're closing in on caps and there's a CV trying to kill you as a low health target, islands will really help you. It throws off the enemy CV's aims, unless the CV is like quite good at their job and skilled. You can easily take advantage of that. Because I'm in this kind of vulnerable broadside state, I decide to activate my defensive AA. I'm wondering if he wants to drop the strike out in front of me, but I decide to kill my speed, and that's right when we see the submarine, and I decide, might as well just go ahead and try to throw a strike out there. Why not? And stopping behind the island prevented us from taking any strikes, and we shot down 6 planes. So we're up to 123 planes shot down with almost 1.5 million potential damage. So we're going to take a blind fire anyhow. There's not really anything else to do. Sometimes little things like that can be the difference between winning or losing a game. And now we see the Nakhimov, and we're going to be switching to armor piercing here in a moment. I want to get around the corner of this island. Again, I'm trying to hug the islands as much as possible and make it more difficult. I think the CV recognizes that I'm the threat here. Our CV is actually doing really cool things. He's keeping the CV spotted. So he seems to, our CV seems to know that, hey, Flimsy's coming up here. So he's just flying outside of range of being hit by the Nakhimov's AA. So we're going to get this AA salvo off in double Citadel. And we pick up the high caliber and the Kraken Unleashed with the 5 kills. Then immediately switch back to the high explosive. Our hydroacoustic search is about to go down. Still asking for our North Carolina to go take C. I think it's a bit of a mistake that the enemy CV didn't continue to go for North Carolina, since I have a lot stronger AA than the North Carolina. So I'm not really sure why that is, but it is a bit of a misplay by him. But now it comes down to the spotting game of killing the last ship, enemy submarine. We still have time. We'll overtake them in points. No, let me take that. Let me step back. Once the North Carolina steps onto sea, they'll only have a 1 cap intake, and then we will eventually overtake them. And even once, assuming North Carolina can flip C uncontested without the sub harassing him, this will be really helpful for us. It won't put as much pressure for us to necessarily step on decap. We can possibly end up playing a bit more selfish. Now, I feel a bit vulnerable right now because I don't have my hydroacoustic search ready, but it will be back up in 55 seconds. I'm staying, keeping in mind my 10.8 range of being detected. I'm giving the well done to North Carolina. And then letting my team know when I have more hydros. So, you know, this is a good example of just communicating with your team, complimenting them when they do a good job and when they help you out with different things. So this the fact that the Nakhimov, you know, positioned a little farther forward to get more strikes off, that's great. But, you know, once he starts losing teammates, he really should have repositioned and backed off into like a way that we couldn't have done much damage to him. I think our CV, Eric Tolfin, like clapped him hardcore earlier. Maybe you saw that. So I'm pinging the map where I'm thinking that the sub is. Take a blind shot here. Again, the CV is just about to spot him if he surfaced, so there wasn't a reason for me to fire my guns there. Now I could have fired my guns. So I'm just really anxious to get to 6 kills, so I'm being a bit greedy here. And I thought my aim was good here, but I think I over-aimed him, which is annoying. We do have our hydroacoustic search back up. He hasn't pinged me. He doesn't look like he's in a position to have torpedoed me. I still have to be mindful he might not have pinged and still fired torps this way, but we have our hydroacoustic search up. We have our propulsion mod. So what I'm going to do here is sit because the submarine had a very low battery charge or whatever. And then he gets spotted, and that means we pick up our 6th kill and giving a well done to our team. And there's the ping. So it was a really close game. Certainly, we definitely made a few mistakes, but I think that just kind of shows you, you know, I don't like to always just illustrate only weaknesses of the ship, but also the strengths of the ship, but also the weaknesses. And you saw me get a little overcompetent with the Bismarck, and you can see what the SAP, even from a 2-8 Veneto, will do in clapping us. So that is the Dreadnought, Kraken Unleashed, high caliber with 189,000 damage with the 23 bomb hits. So you didn't see a lot of use of the bombs. It's been very kind of a mix of, I've had some great games where I've gotten even more use out of the airstrike, other times not as much. I think it was still great that we killed the Massachusetts with the double drop. That was definitely good, of course. So we're going to get 2,400 base XP. Our Colombo did really good. He was really hardcore, doing good on the 2-3 line and dealing with the enemy flank. It was over 1.5 million potential damage. We took 89,000 damage. Our fires were 54,000 damage. So you can see the damage spread out between the main battery, airstrike, and fires. Here you can see 13 bombs did 26,000 damage. This airstrike has a greater pin than the Golden Lions bombs do, if I remember correctly. And here you can see the credits in XP. So we pin 46 millimeter, and we have a 48% chance, and you have more bombs in this, whereas the Golden Lian, double check that, I want to make sure I say it right, pins 37 millimeter, and it's a 39% chance. So there's definitely a difference there. Like the bombs per plane from the Golden Lian is 6, the Prins Van, it's 7. Yeah, and then I think they did more damage, but we can double check that tomorrow when I do the upgrading commander build video. So all said and done. If you're wondering, there's the steel, I don't know what they call it, the steel will event in the armory, where I think the ship right now, if you don't get it through a golden container like I did, it's for sale for 36,000 steel. Then you can get a coupon. I think it takes, what, 15% off or something. If you have a lot of steel, I had a player ask me, or a viewer ask me the other day, if you have a lot of steel, I think that ship is worth picking up. He had like 70,000 steel, so I was like, yeah, I could definitely see if you have that much resources and steel, then go for it. But kind of also telling him, in terms of how I like this ship, it's been really interesting in how I've been trying to compare it. I mean, of course, it has very similar vibes. The maneuverability is the same. The concealment's very close to the Golden Lian. So if you like playing Golden Lian, you probably like playing the Prins Van, with the exception of the airstrike being different and the main battery guns, in my opinion, just being better. Yeah, they're not 283s or 234s, but your horizontal and vertical dispersion is better than the Golden Lian, and you have the same sigma as the Golden Lian. So like, sometimes I get really upset with the Golden Lian because I feel like the guns can be inconsistent and rather trollish sometimes. But I don't have that experience with the Prins Van. So I like a ship that has reliable guns and an airstrike that can definitely be devastating if you catch players out who make a mistake, or you're trying to like get them to come out from behind an island, as an example. That's another way I use airstrikes, rather than just getting the damage. If I want to force them from hiding behind an island so they don't eat the airstrike, have them come out from behind an island, and then like me and my teammates can just clap them when they come out from behind the island. That's been the two, that, or you're trying to prevent a ship from turning back out. If he stays broadside and you drop the airstrike in a way that it'll hit him if he continues to try to angle out. So if he doesn't make the airstrike, then he stays broadside to you, and it gives you and your teammates more of a chance of dealing more damage. That's kind of another, I guess, the third way I've used the airstrike. So there's definitely a few different uses there. So the way I would phrase it is, if you like the Golden Lian and if you have Illinois, then this might sound like a strange comparison, but if you like Illinois, I think you actually quite like the Prins Van. They play similar in terms of their main battery and positioning, because these are really mid-range ships, 12 to 15 kilometers, I think. But rather than Illinois' 203s, you get 234s, and these shells travel a lot faster and they hit harder. But of course, the reload time there is different. Otherwise, a ship that has the similar guns here to the Prins Van would be the Goliath. Also has 234mm guns. I think Goliath has 12. Is it 12? Is it 4 turrets, 3? Something like that. I don't remember. Maybe it's only 9. Then that would be another similar ship to kind of keep in mind here. But if you like Golden Lian and you like Illinois, I think you'd quite like playing the ship. So that's kind of the way I would give an example here in terms of recommending the ship and thinking that's worth the steel. If you really don't want to spend like 30,000 steel, whatever it'd be after applying the coupon, then maybe it's just worth waiting to see if Wargaming reintroduces the ship in a different way. But it's really hard to tell with some of the, the gotcha container type things. The standard crates will be available till the 29th of January, I believe, on NA. I don't know about EU. So there's a possibility that if you want to buy more standard containers and hoping you drop, yeah, you can go that route as well. But I don't really recommend, just throwing a lot of money at the game and just hoping by a small chance that you happen to get a golden container. And then also hoping that you get this ship. I got insanely lucky because I pulled 2 ships from like only 4 golden containers, so that was really crazy luck on my end. So that being said, tomorrow to upgrade commander build video here on the Prins Van Oranje. Oranje, something like that. I've already forgotten how to pronounce it properly, so at least, hopefully for my Dutch viewers, you respect that I did make an attempt. The attempt was made. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Until next time, take care.